Hello, hello, hello. Hello. All right, all right, all right. Welcome everybody to Maddog's Coach's Kennel. Appreciate the people that are here being here. We've got a very special guest tonight. Before we get started, I just wanted to go over a couple of housekeeping things. This is a group for young coaches. You don't even have to be young, but just inexperienced coaches who want to break into college coaching. You're going to find there are some other podcasts, other YouTube channels that do a great job of interviewing coaches and what their day-to-day is like. This channel is primarily aimed at how do we get that first job? How do we get our job and then network and how to build our way up that ladder in college coaching. So if you're watching online and you are interested in being a college coach and want to expand that network and learn from guys who are doing it just like Coach Shakir, contact me at the email address below in the description box. And I just, I hope that you pick up some pointers tonight and enjoy this video and the interview. I do want to say that our next interview will be 2 weeks from tonight. It'll be Tuesday, April 20th. And that's with Tyler Sims. He is the head coach at Clark University in Worcester, Mass. So tonight we kick it off. Coach Shakir, I can't thank you enough for being here. We're welcome to honor Coach KHALIL Shakir into the Kennel. He was recently hired as an assistant coach at Emory and Henry University. Emory and Henry is making a transition from Division III in the ODAC into Division II into the SAC. So a very competitive program. I've had the pleasure of knowing this young man for a handful of years. He was on our radar when I was coaching at the Citadel as a player at Blythewood High School down in South Carolina. KHALIL went on to play Division II basketball at two great stops. He was at Limestone University, and Coker University. Recently graduated from Coker with a bachelor's in business management and a concentration in sports management. What's really impressive about this young coach, he's already had coaching stints at West Florence High School, and he's fresh off a state championship at Trinity Collegiate in Darlington, South Carolina. Additionally, KHALIL has put in a lot of time over the last couple of years as a talent scout and evaluator for Phenom Hoops. And he's also started his own LLC, a training company, H3 Grind, which we'll talk about. So obviously just me talking a little bit about this dude, you get the idea. He's a well-rounded coach and we're happy to have him here. So welcome. We appreciate you, Coach.
Thank you for having me, man. It's a pleasure to be here. Definitely. I'm excited about this. I get to help other coaches. I love it, man.
Well, and trust me, these guys are excited. Everybody here is prepared to ask you some good questions. And I just wanted to open it up and get this ball rolling. Within the last few months, here's one thing that I love about you is that you've always been willing to put it out there that you wanted to be a college coach. Right. And correct me if I'm wrong, but within like the last 3 or 4 months, I swear I saw a tweet from you that said, I'm just putting it out there, but one day I'm going to be a head coach at the college level.
Definitely. I definitely tweeted that. I'm big on speaking it into existence. That's one thing my mom always taught me when I was a kid. So just put it out there. And it wasn't even for people to see. It was more for me, like a goal. So now that I can go back and kind of look at that every single time and see it, like, it kept me on my path. Definitely.
Yes, sir. And I've got to say, I think that was when in my coaching journey, when I decided I wanted to be a college coach, that was a really difficult part for me to kind of put it out there to everybody that no, this isn't a secret anymore. I'm going after this thing full force. And I've tried to bring that confidence to some of the people that you're going to meet tonight and other people in the group. And I want to encourage them. I've always been very impressed with that about you. So I just want to talk about your process in the last couple of years since you've decided that you were going to be a college coach. Obviously, you're not going to go from an undergraduate getting your degree to immediately being a head coach.
Right.
Talk about, just that process for you of goal setting and timelines that led to you getting a job as a Division II full-time assistant straight out of undergrad.
I still can't believe it, man. But it started off with trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I had just finished playing basketball at Coker, and I knew I wanted to stay in the game, and I knew I wanted to coach. And to start off, I thought about being a high school coach, and I was like, well, that would help a lot of kids. But being a college coach, you kind of get to see the back end of those dreams coming true, and players getting to play at the next level. So I kind of set my mind to it, and I actually made a vision board. And this is my first time ever doing this, so I got a big whiteboard, and in the middle of the whiteboard, I said, wanted to be a college coach, and I wrote it and put a big circle on it. And then I put out a whole bunch of almost like a web of things that I could do to kind of get that experience, learn as much as I can. So I started off with coaching. I reached out to one of my old coaches that were my AAU coach, actually. And he had the job at West Florence High School, which is about 25 minutes from me. So I called him, let him know, hey, I finished playing. I want to be a coach. And he immediately said, oh, we'll love to have you. So he always said that he saw me as a coach more than a player in a good way. And he hired me on the spot, and I was so thankful for that. And he kind of threw me in the fire. My first day, he came in, he said, all right, guys, we're going to have practice from 6 to 8. So go ahead and run a study hall. I ran study hall. We got to practice. Him and the other assistant coach leaves. He said, okay, Khalil, practice is on you today. And I'm like, okay, I'm fresh out of playing. So I'm like, okay, let me throw some drills together and try to figure out kind of how we ran practice in college, run it the same way. And the first practice was a little rough. I'm not gonna lie to you, it was rough. I didn't quite have my coaching voice yet, but he would do that periodically, once a week, and then it became twice a week. And I started to notice in myself that I started getting my voice. Mm-hmm. And when I started getting my voice, the players really responded to it and really kind of closed in on me and embraced me as their coach. And it was amazing. I mean, being able to help a team that was okay. They had never made the playoffs. He was the second year there as his coach. And being able to take that team from never making the playoffs in history to third round in the playoffs was fantastic. And I thank him to this day. I thank him because he really kind of started my coaching journey. And I mean, we ended up with 2 kids playing Division II basketball, another kid playing Division III basketball, and then a couple football players as well. And just me from a player to coach, telling them how much it takes, how much hard work it takes, how much time it takes. It was ridiculous the way that they responded. And you could see it in some of the lives of the players. I mean, in the school I was at, they were in the rougher neighborhoods. So the kids didn't have as much resources as like I did growing up. And being able to see their attitudes changing and having goals, and they're coming to me showing me test papers like, Coach, I got an A today. Yeah. I'm one step closer to getting that GPA higher from college now. And that to me it was a bright moment. I mean, I remember this kid he had a terrible GPA. And by the time he graduated, he graduated close to the top of his class. Mm-hmm. And I literally shed tears because he was one of those kids that wasn't supposed to make it. And he did. Him and his brother made it. They were twins. And that right there told me that this is my passion. There's no other way for me to do this. This is my passion. So by learning that, I kind of started reaching out to old coaches that recruited me, coaches that I knew, AAU coaches, and just wanted to learn. I didn't ask for a job. I didn't ask for, hey, can you hook me up with this? I just said, hey, I'm trying to be a coach now. Any advice you can give me, anything you can give me, I would take it. And coaches embraced that, and they started pouring advice into me, sending me Zoom call links, sending me emails, sending me coaches clinics. And literally, I think when COVID hit, I think I was on at least 78 to 100 Zoom calls. Yeah. And I literally timed them to I would get up at 8 o'clock in the morning, 9 o'clock, I'd have a Zoom call from 9 to 10:30. At 10:45, I'd have another Zoom call. And then I would eat lunch, get right back on Zoom, have another Zoom call. And it wasn't the fact that I was just trying to be seen. It was, I wanted to learn. I have notes and notes and notes of stuff that I learned through those Zoom calls that I probably wouldn't have got any other time. So, I mean, I looked at COVID as, of course, it was a bad thing, but I looked at COVID as a blessing for me because now these coaches clinics were free and I could get into them with people I didn't know and get to network with people. And that's big, man. Networking is 75% of this game, college coaching for sure. It's about who you know and who trusts you. And that's a big thing. Trust is a huge thing in this game because nobody's going to hire you if they can't trust you. So if they can trust you, then you're half of the way there for sure. So then I end up getting this coaching job with Trinity Collegiate, and I end up getting it from me working out one of their players, and I had no idea he was one of their players. Just working him out, and the coach was like, "You're pretty good at this." And I said, "Well, thank you. I treat it as if I'm the player, and I'm trying to learn, and I'm trying to get better. So I treat it with a certain level of significance to me. It means a lot to me to help each kid get better." And he hired me. He immediately put me in charge of player development. He put me in charge of social media. He put me in charge of quote unquote recruiting. It's a private school, so you can't really recruit, but you got to get kids in. So recruiting. And he did the same thing as my last coach, which I found funny. We came in first practice. He came in, he said, "This is what I want done today. Here's your practice plan, get it done." And then they walked out of the gym.
Yeah.
And I was a little bit more prepared, but this is a new group. I had never met the players like that. So it was brand new thing to me. And you have the same nerves every single time, no matter how prepared you are. You have the same nerves. Definitely. With new kids, a first time job, you definitely have the same nerves, but those nerves are good nerves. And the practice went well. He ended up watching it from his office from a camera. And so after practice, he said, "Okay, you did this well, this well, this well. This is how I want certain things done. I need you to touch up on this and be better at this." So each practice, he would have a meeting with his coaching staff to let us know, "Hey, we did really good on this today. I think we need to focus on this. Hey, KHALIL, you need to be more vocal here and there." And he really kind of brought me in and taught me that each coaching staff is different. And every coach is going to expect a certain level from their assistant coaches. So being able to be me and still show my personality through what he wants done was big. And he gave me that opportunity. And it took us all the way to a state championship. I mean, it feels like it was yesterday, but it's been amazing. And the kids all bought into the system after a while. And the biggest thing I learned from it this year was personalities. Each kid has a different personality. Each kid responds differently. And that's something that as a player, we always had to respond to our coach. So now as a coach, you have to kind of respond to your players. And it's a completely different aspect. And I feel like any coach that can relate to their players in that way, you're going to have a job somewhere, always, because everybody's always looking for somebody to relate to the players and be that player's coach. That always makes their team closer. It makes you more of a family. And that's big, definitely when it comes to team chemistry and winning games. So I think that helped us a lot for sure. And I think both of those coaches I owe a lot to because they helped me a lot with getting my voice and knowing who I am as a coach.
That's really interesting. You talk about, different things that different coaches and different staffs bring to you. And I'm big on learning about guys and their coaching toolboxes and thinking about your background. You've got Mike Teasley was the coach at Trinity Collegiate, Daryl Jarvis at West Florence. In college, you played for Brandon Scott, Jared Merrill. In high school, you played for a hell of a coach in Zeke Washington. So
yeah, he can coach.
My question for you would be if you only had 3 tools in all of your coaching toolbox of all the lessons, whether it's basketball stuff or a little saying or whatever, give me 3 things that those guys in general have given you that you would pull out of your coaching toolbox.
Oh man. Well, one is always a saying. It's you have to be more fired than your players. He said, your players feed off you, your energy, your passion for the game, they feed off you. So you have to be a leader in every aspect of life, of basketball, of just being a man. They look up to you. So you have to bring it every single day because they're watching you every single day of every single hour. So you have to be able to represent yourself well. You have to be well spoken, and you have to be an example, because whether you're at the NBA level, college level, all of those players are looking up to you because you are their leader. So you have to make sure you are a leader. That's definitely the biggest advice I got. Secondly, I always love Blythewood, Coach Zeke's defense, man. Yeah. He was really big on defense. We played full court man-to-man 100% of the time. Never, never wavered from it. So it taught us how to be tough. Yeah. It taught us that you have to give. You have to be a teammate. Mm-hmm. You have to put yourself on the line in order to win. And that is a big lesson that I've learned and taken with me throughout my entire college. You have to be able to be adaptable. You have to be able to work together. Whether it makes somebody else look better or whether it makes you look better, it's the team that looks better. And one thing he always said, that a team winning, everybody looks good. Mm-hmm. Nobody looks bad on a team that's winning. But a team that's losing, only the best player looks good. Yeah. So making those sacrifices of your game and yourself for the team has always been something I've been big on. And lastly, Coach Jarvis taught me Coach Jarvis and Coach Teasley, toughness. No matter how skilled you are, if you don't have toughness, you don't play hard, you're not good. And even as a player, Coach Jarvis taught me that because he coached me in AAU. He said, you had all the talent, but you had to play harder. And when he told me that, I didn't understand it at first. And then as I started playing more and he started showing me, I understood it. And as a coach, I preach it now. Playing hard is a skill. Mm-hmm. It's a skill that's better than any other skill you can have. There's guys like Draymond Green that in college rebounded the ball and passed the ball and played as hard as he could. And now look at him. I mean, hard work takes you anywhere in life and everywhere in life. So with hard work, you can go anywhere you want to. You can accomplish anything you want to. You have to be able to work hard for it.
I love that. I love, all the different influences that you've had and what you've been able to take away. I think you're going to bring that to every team that you end up with, not just Emory and Henry, but throughout your career. I also want you to touch on, so adding to your toolbox, learning from great coaches is one thing, but with some of these guys, everybody's high school coaching situation is different. Let's say that you're a high school assistant or even an AAU assistant. Not every head coach is going to allow you to have a position group or have a voice in practice. Right. So I know that, we both have pretty extensive backgrounds in individual and small group training. In my opinion, there's no substitute for getting out there and really honing in on the player development aspect of it. Talk to us a little bit about, your company and how that's formed and just the background of H3 Grind.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can. Can you hear me?
Oh, I'll take my. Let's make sure this is.
Coach, I can hear you.
Okay, are we good now?
Coach, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can hear you.
Okay, yeah, we're good. I heard you. Sorry about the technical difficulties. I don't know if could have been me, maybe you, whatever.
I think it may be by the rain here, so I think it's probably me.
Hey, it's all good. So anyway, I just wanted to hear about your company, man. I love what you're doing with it.
Well, H3 Grind started off one as a training company, and H3 actually means humble, hungry, and honest. Those are the three things I kind of live my life by. My mom kind of taught me that when I was a younger child. So H3 Grind was first started off as just training kids. I just wanted to train kids at first in my area and just be able to help as many kids as possible. At first, I didn't charge anything. I just wanted to help as many players as possible. I mean, the area that I was in, it was a rougher area, like I said earlier. So being able to kind of get these kids from doing stuff that they shouldn't be doing to being in the gym and working on a game was big to me. I wanted to make an impact in their lives as much as possible and to get them on the right track and to help their families as well. So starting H3 Grind, I applied to make it an LLC and kind of travel with it to help different kids in my area, Charlotte area, other areas as well, to really kind of train and hone in on players and allow them to basically develop. What I do differently than most training organizations, I really watch them play.
Mm-hmm.
So before I train any kid, I have to watch them play. Whether I see film, I go watch them in person, I have to see them play, because I feel like as a trainer, you have to know who you're training. You have to know their game in and out before you can train anybody. So I go and I watch them play, or I see videos of them playing and I watch full games. That way I fully know the player. And that way I can say, okay, well, these are your weaknesses that I saw. And then I ask them, hey, what do you think your weaknesses are? And that way we kind of have that relationship of not me just saying, hey, you're bad at this, you're bad at that. He knows what he's bad at and wants to work on as well. And we kind of mesh those two together to kind of work on it. And I'm not big on teaching different 5-6 different dribble moves. I'm really big on fundamental stuff. We do a lot of form shooting. We do a lot of passing. That's one thing that I hone in on. Passing is big. Inside hand, one hand flicks. I mean, any type of passing you can think of, we work on, because the fundamental things in basketball that take you further than the flair and the antics of everything else. I'm really big on, like I said, form shooting, passing, defense, which I think is a lost art. Defense and rebounding. I mean, I really focus on those 4 things because I feel as a player, if you do those 4 things, you're good to go. And not saying that you'll be the best player out there, but you'll have a chance of accomplishing your goal of going to the next level. And as they continue to move up into different levels, the level of rebounding, the level of passing, the level of shooting goes up, but the skill never changes. The line may move back a little bit, but the skill never changes. That's why working on fundamental stuff is, I think, the most important part of player development. Mm-hmm. Now, of course, you can teach different dribble moves when you're in certain situations. I do a lot of situations such as ball screens, the big switches. I teach a lot of stuff on that. How to find the person off a ball screen on the corner when you flick to the corner. Dunker spot for bigs, post ups, high post reads. I love to teach different situations of the game, because I feel like that helps and translates more to the actual game. When they catch the ball in the high post, it's like, oh, we worked on this plenty of times. I know exactly what to do. So teaching that instead of teaching different moves and a whole bunch of different dribbling stuff and the step backs. And while those stuff do come in handy sometimes, the fundamental stuff is always was going to be your bread and butter. So I've built the entire company on teaching those fundamentals and then helping them reach out to college coaches. That's another thing I do with H3 Grind. Everybody that trains with me, I try to find a level for them, and we talk about it as a player and a coach. We talk about what level they think they are, what level I think they are at right now at this point, and then we reach out to those schools, and I help them reach out to those schools. Because as a player, I was that kid. I emailed coaches nonstop.
Yeah,
I sent videos, tweets. I sent it all. I wanted every coach in America to know who I was. I was shooting for the Dukes and the Kentuckys, knowing I wasn't that good. I just wanted to see if I'd get an email back.
I hear you.
So teaching those kids to be resilient and to bet on themselves is another big thing that we go through in that process. And I find even different schools in our area, we start off with our area for sure, different schools in that level for them, and helping them find the coach's email and sending a professional email to the coaches. And that way, just learning how to do that stuff. And they may not get a response, but I feel as if me teaching them how to send a professional email is big in just life, period. because you're always going to have to send an email to somebody or a professional text or leave a professional voicemail. Those are big things that you have to learn in life. So I use H3 Grind to not only teach basketball, but I teach them life, and I teach them how to be young men. And I can't really teach females how to be young ladies, but young ladies as well.
Right. Well, I really appreciate that, about just going above and beyond, not just a trainer, but helping them into possibly being college players and explaining. I mean, I remember getting those emails from you.
Oh yeah.
And I always, even as a college coach, like, you were on our radar, you weren't on our board, but I appreciate, the only reason you stayed around is because you were consistent. I mean,
Right.
every month, every 6 weeks, like clockwork, this dude was on it, but that's what you have to be. Getting back to the actual training aspect of it, we have a couple of guys in here and a couple more that aren't here tonight that are actually still high school students. So they don't have a chance to be assistants at a high school yet, kind of deal. So
Right.
my point with training is, guys, I want those guys to know, put together an hour-long workout for a position group. Here's where it pays off. Chuck Martin is now an assistant at University of South Carolina. He was the head coach at Marist, got fired, was out of basketball for a year. He gets an interview to be an assistant at Indiana when Tom Crean was the head coach. Dude, he flies in. Tom Crean says, all right, look, hasn't even gotten the job yet. Gives him a brand new IU t-shirt, shorts, shoes, says, meet me downstairs on the court. He goes out there. There are these dudes. They look like they can play a little bit, 3 guys. Tom Crean sits down and says, run this workout, work these dudes out for an hour. So he did. He realized what it was. Tom Crean was looking to hire 2 GAs. So it was basically going to be and he wanted 2 former D1 high-level players. Right. So he was judging Coach Martin. How do you teach the game and seeing who he's going to, hire as his GAs at the same time? So I'm saying it never goes away. Start now and be confident in your voice. How many balls do I need? Do I have a whistle or not? Is this like an enclosed gym? What is the skill set of this group? So I feel like, I'm really just impressed with what you've been able to do starting off. And now I think you're over 30 players. You're working out boys and girls and helping them get to college. I think that's awesome stuff. I do want to transition over to recruiting. So recruiting, lifeblood of the program. We hear it all the time. I have a special affinity for your hustle because I've been in your shoes as a scout and evaluator for Phenom Hoop with Rick Lewis. And I just want to ask you how your experience, working for Rick and Phenom Hoop Report as an evaluator kind of got your feet wet in the recruiting game without actually being a recruiter.
Oh man, first of all, I wanted to just say a quick thank you to Rick, because giving me this job, I've learned so much. I've met so many people, and I've helped so many players. It's been amazing. I can't say enough about it.
Yes, sir.
But so far as recruiting, you see a lot of players, and I mean a whole lot of players. But you get to watch players play AAU. You get to actually speak to players. You get to speak to coaches about players. One thing that going into Phenom, being able to watch so many players, I started getting phone calls from different coaches asking me about certain players. Hey, do you think he's good enough to play here? Where's his weaknesses? Where can he help us? And that gave me an avenue to not only meet college coaches, but also help more players. And that's what I was big on before I got to college coaching anyway. I wanted to help as many players as possible. So seeing over hundreds of players, and you get to see the difference in levels, you get to see the difference in games. Because at first, Division I to me was Division I. I never labeled it low major, mid major, high major. But as you watch players play, you see those differences. You can tell a high major kid from a low major kid almost at the blink of an eye.
Right.
And I mean, you learn so much about what colleges are looking for. And I think that's big in recruiting. A lot of guys look for players that play hard. I never get how much points does he average. I've never gotten that question out of however many calls I've gotten. I've never gotten that question. It's always, does he play hard enough? How does he defend? How is his attitude? Those are the 3 main questions I get all the time. So being able to see those players up close, and all summer long you get to see them develop as well. I think I've been on with Phenom for almost a year now, and I've gotten to see players from when they were juniors turning to seniors, and you can see who works, who loves the game, because their games change drastically. I mean, I can remember a kid right now, what is his name? Lucas Taylor. He's out of North Carolina. Junior year, he was a phenomenal scorer. He could score the ball with anybody. Senior year, I started watching him play. He's now passing the ball. He's defending. He's leading. He's being a leader. Like, his game and the intangibles grew and increased. So not only is he a scorer now, he's a leader. He makes winning plays. He doesn't care about if he scores 10 points or 20 points. Mm-hmm. And as you mature in basketball, that's the biggest thing. You sacrifice so much in order to win. And the players that are high majors are winners. Yeah. So to watch recruits and to see them grow and develop, and being able to talk to college coaches has been super big for recruiting. I've been able to help a lot of kids get to certain levels that they might not necessarily saw themselves as. And not being a college coach and actually being a talent evaluator, I can go up to a kid and say, hey, I love your game, but if you could work on this, your level changes this much. Being able to help kids without even me being their trainer, being able to give them advice, they listen to you because you are a talent evaluator and scout. You help them. You get to see those differences, and you see some players work on them, and you see some players, sadly, that don't. But you can see who really loves the game, and being able to connect with college coaches kind of gives you that network and that, well, I want to say credibility, but I don't really like that word, but credibility between the players on the players' standpoint, and then college coaches from that standpoint as well. So it really helps with recruiting. And now being a college coach and being that I got to work with Phenom, I know the levels. I know definitely, because I played in this conference, I know what is successful in this conference, what isn't successful in this conference. You learn a lot about the game of basketball by just watching. Yeah. And that's one thing I talk to my players now this year. Just watch the game. Just watch as much as possible. And when I first came in, my first question, first day of practice that I was by myself, said, how many of y'all watched, I think it was a D2 game that was on ESPN. I said, how many of you guys watched the D2 game that was on ESPN? Nobody raised their hand. Right. Nobody. And I was like, wow. And I told him, I said, hey, so did we see the Division I game that was on? Oh yeah, I saw it. He scored 30 points. I'm like, okay. So I see the difference. And I'm like, guys, it's great basketball at every level. And a lot of people don't understand that. That's why it's so hard to be a college basketball player. Yes. It's a kid right now in NAIA that can go play Division I right now. Right. It's just whether or not he got seen or whether or not he developed in time. But there's players at every single level. So I tell the kids, go watch the D3 game. Go visit the D3 school. Go visit the NAIA school. Go watch them practice. Go watch them play. I mean, everybody's good, man. Mm-hmm. So by them understanding that, it kind of gave them that work. Like, I may not be the next Michael Jordan. Maybe I am a Division II player, but right now I don't think I'm as good as these guys. So it gave them a different level of work ethic. And that, I kind of think, is what helped us win our state championship this year. So really, when it comes to recruiting, I think Phenom helped me a lot. Definitely got me in the door with a lot of college coaches and got me to help as many players as possible. And I think that was big. I owe them a lot. I really do.
Well, and I certainly do as well. And I want to, it leads me into the networking piece of this. First of all, I want to give a special thank you to Rick Lewis and his whole family as well. I was in a similar boat as Coach Shakir, many years ago, and not only cultivating those relationships with the college coaches, but what I had to do, Coach, was get over myself from the network piece to say, lean on the people that have helped you, that they have connections. And so I was like, Rick, I need you to call. VMI was my first job. I was lucky enough to break in D1. But I got to the point where I just said, fuck it. Yo, I need you to call for me. Like, I need you to call and tell them the truth. Like, I'm not telling you to what you're going to say, but tell him the truth, because you're my guy, and I've worked as hard as I can for you, and he did, and that may have helped tip the scales. I don't know. I had a number of people call, but I'm saying I think it's hard for young people. The first step, you guys and girls that are watching this is your first step, because you're starting to build your network. This can help become your network. The second piece is leaning on your network in the right way. And this is one of the things I respect most about Coach Shakir, is that you've done it very organically. But I would like to hear your thoughts on, how have you been able to make some connections in college basketball along with Phenom Hoops, and how have those connections been able to help you?
I think mine is acting up again. Let's see.
Coach, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you now. Perfect.
Okay. I was just saying, how have you been able to make your connections, alongside Phenom Hoops, and how have those connections been able to help you get a job or further your career?
One, I'm kind of like what you said. I think step one, like you said, networking, and step two was sacrificing your pride and being able to ask for help. A lot of people don't like to ask for help because they think I'm independent, I can do it on my own, which is great, and you may be able to, but it's okay to ask for help, guys. I mean, Coach Maddog is a great example. I ask him for help all the time, advice, making calls for me, anything I can ask him to help me with, I ask, and we had that relationship that he would do that for me. But step one is building a true relationship. You don't want to network and immediately ask for a job. Like when I first met Coach Maddog, he was at Citadel, and I've never called him and say, "Hey, Coach, can you get me the job at Citadel? Can you get me the job at VMI?" I'm like, "Hey, Coach, can I learn from you?" And when you take that approach, college coaches are more willing to talk to you, because everybody asks them for a job every single day. I'm sure a lot of people ask them for jobs, but how many people ask them, "Hey, I just need a little bit of advice. Can you help me out here?" So building that relationship and keeping that relationship constant. It's okay building a relationship and then letting it die, it doesn't cultivate anything. You have to be able to it's like a plant. You have to be able to keep watering that relationship and making it stronger and allowing it to grow and build. And that way, when you build that trust and they get to know you as not only a coach, they get to know you as a person, they get to know your family, they get to know you. That is when the relationship is powerful. And that's when you lean on the relationship to help you. And they're more willing to help you because they know you, they trust you. And that's one thing I love about Coach Maddog. When we met, he kept in contact with me and we kept in contact with each other. And we kind of grew this relationship in order for each other to trust each other, basically. And I think that is big for everybody on this call. Start with the people you know. Even if you don't know them well enough, start with people you know and just build and learn from them and continue to build the relationship. And as you continue to build, then you start leaning on them for help, and they're more willing to help you and help you meet somebody else. That's all networking is. The next person helps you meet the next person, helps you meet the next person.
Yeah.
And when you meet those people, building those relationships allow you to cultivate that relationship and cultivate that basically I said that relationship already, and allows you to grow and allows you to be trusted by multiple people and be known by multiple people. And your goal here is not to be known and, oh, everybody knows who I am. That's not your goal. Your goal is still to learn as much as possible. So while you're leaning on those people for help and they're networking and meeting other people, you still want to learn and pick the brains of them, and not necessarily being aggravating with it, because I know I can probably be a little aggravating because I want to learn as much as possible. But learning stuff here and there and just finding ways to kind of pick their brains without being kind of like nagging. And by doing that,